goes live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And then we also record an audio-only version that'll be available via our website on Buzzsprout. So Jenny can send you that link if you want to give it a listen. But we'll go live right now. Jenny, here comes the intro. You're listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Grow Clinton is a 501c6 nonprofit economic community development and tourism organization based in Clinton, Iowa. For more information, visit growclinton.com. Again, that's growclinton.com. Now, back to the show. What's happening, all you millions of people out there in podcast land? Thank you so much again for tuning in to the Grow Clinton podcast. You know where to find it. We are everywhere, folks. iTunes, Amazon, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts, just search Grow Clinton Podcast, and we'll be there. My name, as always, Andy Sokolovich, President and CEO of Grow Clinton, joined in the studio by Jenny Holm. Jenny, welcome to Monday.
Oh, man, what a wild week we got coming on.
What a wild, crazy week we have. Yeah, election day is coming up, so we're knocking out some interviews with some candidates for both school board in Clinton and Camanche, as well as candidates for city council in Clinton and Camanche. So we are busy.
Yes.
Jenny.
What?
Sponsors.
I love them.
They didn't go away.
They shouldn't.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. This is courtesy of Citizens First Bank, making your finances and our audio here at the podcast crystal clear. New microphones for the Grow Clinton podcast are proudly sponsored by the bank that's always in tune with our community. Find them at gocfb.bank. Banking as it should be with Citizens First Bank. Member FDIC. Adcraft Printwear and Sully Sports. They're teasing the comeback of Sully Sports, which will be out there along Mill Creek in the new Adcraft Printwear building. Adcraft's been around since 1974. Over the years, the company has grown from a small family-run business just serving Clinton to a cutting-edge operation that serves teams and companies all over the United States. For all your custom printwear needs, visit adcraftusa.com. Again, that's adcraftusa.com. And then the OG sponsor, Miles Communications, powers the Grow Clinton podcast with high-speed fiber internet. The wicked fast speeds ensure that our broadcast is crisp, clear, and consistent. Miles offers residential and commercial high-speed internet services as well as television and telephone options to meet your home or company communication needs. If they're not in your neck of the woods, they are on their way. Check them out, milestelephone.com, milestelephone.com. Great show today, Jenny.
I'd say I'm really excited to interview candidates, and school board candidates to me are special because they are taking a part in community to make sure that our kids have a great education.
Kids first, as always. So we have with us Camanche School Board candidate Trevor Volz. Trevor, welcome to the Grow Clinton podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
So, Trevor, what got you interested in running for school board at Camanche?
Well, honestly, someone put it in my head that I might be good at it.
There you go.
That got me thinking about it.
Okay.
And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what? Yeah, I can probably do this. This is probably a good fit for me.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm excited to hear about your responses to these questions. Again, none of them are fastball, difficult questions. Very basic that we ask all the candidates that we interview. So you kind of just explained what inspired you to run for Camanche Community School District Board of Directors. But what do you believe are the district's greatest strengths and most urgent challenges in Camanche?
Well, I think Camanche has a lot to offer. You know, me and my wife, we moved over to Clinton and Camanche School District about 10 years ago, and both coming from pretty small towns. We grew up on the other side of the river up in Carroll County. I'm a Mount Carroll native. She's Savannah, Illinois native. And then she was a nurse at Mercy and stuff like that. So we moved over here about 10 years ago, decided we wanted to raise our family here. And we just like the small feel of the classroom environment of Camanche. I mean, Camanche is a neat little town, you know, and it butts up to Clinton, which helps for convenience of other things.
Sure.
You have quite an investment in the Camanche schools as well.
Yeah,
5
absolutely.
children.
Yeah, so I do have 5 children. But we just like the feel of Camanche. It's a proud little town. We are active in sports. Their sports programs are great. The academics are good. you know, and the whole open enrollment thing with Iowa was new to us as to where you could go to basically any school, I believe. I don't know the exact details of that, but
Yeah, sure. It's
we
any
like
school as long as you can get them there.
Right,
yeah,
right.
as long, and we didn't like the idea of driving them somewhere else, but we liked the idea of, you know, the Camanche school bus coming to pick us up or pick the kids up right in front of our house, and you know, the more we've been there, the more we fell in love with the community. So yeah, I suppose those are some of the strengths, but you said weaknesses was the question.
Urgent needs
of the community. As far as school board goes, I think that we're up against a tough budget. I know that's one of the main things on the table. And just with the forum we had the other night, and I think you guys were there as well. Actually, it was put on by Girl Clinton, I
Correct.
believe.
Yeah.
There were some good questions there in regards to like AI. I think that's going to be a challenge going forward, and even since that forum, I've done more thinking about that.
How do you feel about AI in the classroom?
To me, it's a little scary because I don't have the need, or I don't have the need yet to use it in my everyday life. I wouldn't say. I mean, it probably is with, you know, business programs and stuff like that. I'm sure that there's some AI, but my first thing is I worry a little bit about kids getting into things they don't fully understand, and because maybe it's popular or whatever. You know, I've seen like picture aspects of it, but you know, I've also seen some good things about it with like lectures and
Yeah.
taking notes and putting it into a way that they can understand it better type of thing, I guess. I've seen some on that. So I think that there's good and bad about it. I think that as a school board and as a school board candidate and as a father, it's something that we need to be aware of. I need to get better at, and we need to monitor it safely so that our kids can get better at it and use it safely.
Yeah. I was just listening to a podcast this morning, and the guy wrote a book on AI. I think it's called like Strange New Mind. And he talks about how AI actually works. So when you put in a prompt,
Right.
the algorithm is trained to respond as a human would. So if you are kind and ask please and thank you, you get a more robust response from AI. And what it does is it scours, I mean, there's 8 billion people in the world, and everybody that can is using the internet, and they've contributed somehow in some fashion, whether that be a blog post or a social media post. So when you put in a prompt to AI, it scours all of that content that's on the World Wide Web and then provides you with an answer based on your prompt and what it feels is the most appropriate.
I always end mine with "Help me, please."
Yeah, but it is
They're nice
crazy
to
because
me.
I never knew that. I mean, I just think you type something in, but the algorithm really does respond as a human would. So if you walk up to somebody in the street and you just bark a question at them and you don't say please or thank you, you don't get a complete response.
Yeah.
AI functions in the same fashion. And it's really interesting also that you can go to these new websites that are called AI analyzers, and you can put in the response that you received and it will make it more human-like. So anybody that's trying to track whether you're using AI or not, there's workarounds through that too.
Oh
So
my
it's going to be
gosh.
very interesting to see how education goes,
Yeah.
because I know a lot of universities now, they cannot control the use of AI.
No.
So they are empowering students to use it as a research tool. And the way I see it is, you know, technology has been an aggressive change agent in the last 10, 15, 20 years. However, just imagine what it was like that when spell check became a thing
I remember.
and people were freaking out because they wouldn't know how to spell, right? Because you don't really know how to spell
Right.
anymore. You don't have to. It
Right.
tells you. I mean, I subscribe to Quillbot and Grammarly, which goes through all of my content, social media posts, blog posts, whatever I write, and makes suggestions along the way. And
And see, what you're
interesting.
saying is a lot of information, and that's just a teeny bit of it. And
Yeah,
so
a
that's
teeny bit of
what Trevor's talking about is how to get a handle on it. And, you know, I mean, I guess I don't know what the answer is to that.
Yeah, and I actually, I guess to take that back, daily I do use AI. Like when you Google something,
Yep.
the first response at the top is your AI.
Google's AI
answer.
bot, yeah.
Right.
And honestly, I rely on that. You know, and I might scroll down and do a little homework on what other the answers are. But for the most part, it's pretty
Yeah.
accurate.
Have you ever been trying to get from point A to point B, but you don't know where point B is really at, how to get there directional wise, and you don't have access to internet? And how do you get there?
Right.
We don't have maps in our cars anymore.
No.
You depend on that Waze or,
Right.
whatever, Google Maps or whatever you use. It's insane. Well, Amazon's web server, AWS, went down for 24 hours a couple weeks, last week maybe?
Last week.
Yeah.
It was Monday of last week,
Yeah,
it was
it was
right before
Monday.
the forum.
Yep.
And I went to Casey's over in Camanche. I could not get gas and I could not pay with my debit card.
Wow.
How freaky is that?
Yeah.
One company, one
Wow.
single company server went down.
One big company.
And I could, one huge
Yeah.
monstrosity of a company,
Right.
but I could not get gas, nor could I use my debit card.
Yeah, scary.
Crazy.
And to rely on stuff like that. That's what scares me.
Yeah,
no,
it
it's
is
just like,
scary.
wow.
No, I embrace it. I love it. Jenny knows this. I
Yep.
geek out over it. I encourage our staff to leverage it, but it is scary when one server for Amazon web-based server goes down, and you're stuck using cash. And I couldn't get cash out of the ATM because the ATM was down. So luckily I had a couple bucks in my
Wow.
pocket, but who carries around
It's
a bunch of cash
snowball.
anymore?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. All right, Trevor, next question. How do you see the district Camanche preparing students for both college and career pathways, including those skilled trades and technical fields?
I think it's to me, I see it as a bit of a cyclical cycle, kind of. I think that, for a long while, it was kind of college was the thing to do. And although there's still people going to trades and there's, still been plumbers and still been construction workers and still been welders and stuff like that. But creating the most opportunities available to our children is the single most important job of the school and school board system. So, making sure that we offer that in Camanche is very important. And I think all the candidates, did a very good job at the forum last night, and we're all on the same page as far as that goes. I think everyone is on the same page as far as that goes.
Sure.
It's all about the kids, right? It's all about providing them the most opportunities possible. So making sure that we have the programs available in Camanche is important. The things that we're good at, I think we need to continue excelling at and get better at, and things are constantly changing as well. So just adapt to what's going on and making sure that we're in front of the technology game as much as possible. Make sure we're offering the programs that kids need. And like when I said cyclical, I feel that need for trades coming back. I think that people are starting to get a little better understanding of, hey, we're always going to need construction workers. We're always going to need plumbers. We're always going to need HVAC. That stuff's important.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I have 5 kids, and I'm kind of hoping one of them, is an electrician. I'm kind of hoping one of them does landscaping.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of hoping one of them, does roofs or
Take care of your
whatever.
house
Yeah,
when
that's
they're
right.
done.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they can all do that, and there's definitely a need for that kind of stuff. And with college being as expensive as it is, it might be the right route for some people. I know my background, a college degree is required, but it's not necessarily required depending on what you want to do with your life.
No, that's exactly right. I had the opportunity to speak to an IJAG class last Friday, and that's Iowa Jobs for American Graduates. And there was, dozen or so students in the classroom. And I was just asking them, like, what career fields do you feel will continue to be available to you in the next 10 years? And it's just true. I mean, technology is moving fast, but it's not moving fast enough to overtake an electrician.
Right.
Or like you said, a roofer or a plumber or anybody that can work with their hands, construction workers. I mean, it's just those things are going to be constant, and they're going to be out there, and they're going to be in high demand. And I tell you what, now if you go in and you get your journeyman's card and you walk out, you can punch your own ticket. You can go wherever you want.
Anywhere.
Well, they're
Anywhere you want.
well-paying jobs. That's a great trade to have.
Oh yeah,
Any of that stuff.
If you ever bumped into a union pipe fitter that travels for work, they can buy whatever they want, whenever they want. I mean, they work a lot, but
Right.
they got a ton of cash.
Well, when you talk about AI taking over jobs, I mean, the first ones are going to take are, not the trades.
No,
Right.
they're going to take
Right.
white collar desk jobs,
Right.
Because that stuff can be automated at some point,
Right.
So yeah, it's very interesting. But however, out of that dozen or so students I spoke to, nearly 3/4 of them did raise their hand and say they were going into the trades.
Nice.
Welding, electrician. I heard plumber. I heard, one gentleman wanted to get into something in healthcare. And then, there was esthetician and things. People are always going to have faces, right?
Right.
So makeup, I mean, there's certain things, even during a recession, that do not fail. And that's the sale of booze goes up during a recession. People just, even though they don't have a ton of it, they'll still spend it on beer and
Right.
booze, right? Makeup continues
yeah.
to be a hot commodity. Pet food has proved to be somewhat recession proof because we're always going to continue to take care of our pets.
Right.
So it's interesting how it all works.
How do you feel about the collaboration between all of the school districts, especially when it comes to the Career Advancement Center at the college?
I don't really have a whole lot of knowledge of that. I know it is available to everyone, right? I think it's a great thing to have for sure. I mean, it's another opportunity, you know. I mean, I think, well, even myself, the plan was to graduate high school and then to go to college or military or whatever. But, I jumped into college right after high school, and 2 years in, I was going to be a PE teacher, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know that this is what I want to do.
Right.
And I went in the military, but it could have been very reasonable for me to jump into a trade and go that way. So having that in our community for all the surrounding towns is very important.
Yeah, I mean, they have a great auto program. They have a
Right.
great culinary program,
That's good too.
which is
yeah.
something that's in high demand too. I
Sure.
mean, if you're a talented chef and it's a tough industry, but if you can
Right.
grind through it, there's some serious money to be made there for that skill set. Yeah, what's the Hawkeye game on Saturday?
Did you?
Yeah, they blew out the Gophers. Minnesota. It was about 43-3 or something
Yeah, I
like that. I
think
can't
that's
remember.
right.
It was a quiet
But
game.
I'm walking around, I'm looking at all these college students, and they're young, and I just feel like they're in for a rude awakening one
Oh
day.
boy.
Because they just don't know what the real world's like yet. I mean, they're
Right.
still kind of guarded in a college environment. They have
Structured.
access to food and housing, and mom and dad may be flipping the bill or they're taking out student loans, but man, you got to rip that off like a bad Band-Aid one day and go out and start a hustle on your own. And it's a change of pace for sure.
It is.
Yeah, and even like you said, the culinary stuff. I mean, that is the kind of little niche that it's nice to have, that available in our community to do
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I'm sure there's other things that they offer along those lines. So
Yeah. So my next question, Trevor, is regarding community and economic development, but specifically the attraction and retention of high quality educators. Given the competition with nearby districts and private employers, how do we bring in these great educators and then retain the ones that we already do have that have proven their worth within the district?
So that's, I mean, it's not a tough question to answer, but it's a tough game to play, I guess, because it is something that we're going to be constantly fighting over, trying to get in good educators and stuff. So I think it's, well, one, it's going to be some marketing. Like you need to market Camanche, I know we're heavily involved in sports and stuff like that. And I think that there's a big following from the community for that kind of stuff. And they see us come to another town and, we're very prideful on that stuff and we've done well, football and basketball and many sports that Camanche offers, but,
Yeah.
it's showing our pride and like I said, marketing, whatever that looks like, staying active on social media. And I said the other night in the forum, I just wear Camanche on my sleeve. I mean, it brought us into town, so
Yeah,
I
no,
think
it's
we're definitely
evident.
capable of bringing others in our town, and part of it is offering those programs. I know that we have a good program for kids with disabilities and stuff like that, which Iowa, the state of Iowa is good at offering those programs. Coming from Illinois, I don't think they quite offer as much over there as what Iowa does. So that's one thing that's appealing to some families, which is important.
So what is being a transplant sort of? I mean, because it's pretty close. Mount Carroll is pretty
You hop
close.
the
Yeah.
river. You hop the
Yeah,
river.
you hop the
Yeah,
river.
hop the river.
What's your favorite thing about Camanche?
Favorite thing about the Camanche? Well, the location's pretty convenient. It's nice. I love to go on the river. I love to fish. We traded in the camper for a pontoon this year, so we do a lot of that. It's close to Quad Cities. I run an insurance agency out of Quad Cities, so it's not far from Quad Cities. It, butts up right next to Clinton. Clinton has a lot to offer. We do attend a lot of the Clinton events as well. We're big fans of, what's the Thursday event down at the bandstand there?
Oh, they have music on the avenue.
Yeah.
Music on the Avenue, and then the Fridays is
Finally
Friday.
Fridays. Those are great events, and of course you got tailgate and tall boys and whatnot. But it's just there's not like a bad area of Camanche. It's just a nice little town.
It is a nice little town, and I do, the Camanche storm runs deep. So
Mhm.
whenever you go to Camanche, you're in Camanche. I mean, you're around people that love their district and go out and support it. And I always look at school districts as a way to showcase your community, especially when you have outside teams coming in to compete in sports. Don't act a fool, don't be stupid, have fun, relax, cheer on your team, but also welcome those folks that are coming into town, because they're going to be your ambassadors when they leave. Perfect example, yesterday I went to Bellevue for my son's basketball game, and I had never been in Bellevue schools, and I was really impressed.
Oh, yeah.
And they were
Yeah.
very welcoming, and, they'll greeting everybody that came in the door, and I was like, man, I've never been to the home of the Comets before.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it
Bellevue's
was
a neat
neat.
little town.
It
Yeah.
is pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a good job.
And I think everyone in Camanche, as a resident of Camanche, they want to be there. I mean, it's easy
Yeah.
to be
Mhm.
somewhere else. So I think
Right.
that everyone that lives in Camanche probably has a desire to be there for some reason.
Yeah, they do a good job. I mean, you guys are rich on housing, and there's more
Mhm.
development coming in the future. That's something that, being in Clinton, I'm jealous of, that Camanche has so much housing.
Yes.
Because that's something where we kind of missed the mark. Our average house was kind of built right around the 1950s, probably 57-ish time frame. And then we have some new development coming up, much of which is kind of priced out
Very pricey.
some of the middle class. So it's interesting to see how the dynamics work within two communities that are right next to each other. Very different scenarios.
Sure.
So Trevor, how would you ensure transparency and accountability during the budget discussion and ultimately the decisions? And this is brought up because, most recently, kudos to your superintendent. He did a phenomenal job. You guys had to cut 1.6 million or something like
Yes.
that from
Yeah, I
the
believe
budget,
that's pretty close.
and it
Yeah.
eliminated one position.
One job.
I mean, that's insane. And I know Justin's always out driving bus and doing everything that he can to make the district continue to succeed within their confinements of their budget. But how would you ensure that there's transparency and accountability by not only the superintendent, but also the board to the rest of the community that's paying that tax dollars that comes into the district?
So I'm an open book when it comes to that. And for people who know me, I think they'd agree that I don't take decisions lightly. Like I'm going to do my due diligence, and I'm not a biased person when it comes to that stuff. I realize that going into school board, some may have agendas, or maybe in the past have had agendas, but I do not have an agenda. I plan to approach every situation the best that I can. I mean, my background is in finance, and raising a larger family in today's atmosphere takes financial sense knowledge, and
Yes, it does.
running a small business, in today's world, or any world, you have to make smart financial decisions. And I'm going to hear both sides of stories and make the most informed decisions that I can, but I will not take, decisions lightly on that, because, we could be talking about people's jobs. We could be, cuts in certain areas. I don't know exactly what that looks like until I get in there. But the best I can do is make informed decisions, and
Yeah.
it's an elected position. So if people feel that I'm worthy of that, I'll get elected and do the best that I can.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for school board because, correct me if I'm wrong, but school board does not get paid, correct?
No.
No, I
No.
don't
And
think so.
so what
If they
other
do, I'm not aware.
what other elected position do you not receive any compensation? I mean, there's probably a pepper few out there,
Right.
but local municipal politics or even county politics, I'm not aware of any. I mean, you figure all your county electeds get compensated, all
Right.
your municipal electeds get compensated. Mayor and council, school board really is for the sake of the district and you putting in your effort and time philanthropically to support students' growth within that district and ensure that you live in a district that's attracting new students and new educators.
You're doing it because you love the education and you are caring about the kids.
Yeah, it's a kind of a selfless act. Like I really am just here to donate my time, and I want Comanche people to use me, use me as a voice, use me for, the background I have and the education and make the best decisions that we can. And, I've heard a little bit from the community so far, just when they found out I was running for candidacy, like, hey, can we think about this? Or, and I'm like, sure, that's kind of my job is to listen to what the community wants.
Well, you guys have great leadership now and all your superintendents. Every district within Clinton County now has a new superintendent.
So impressive.
Do you know that?
Yes.
Well, I guess not
I
every
didn't know
district
that.
because you have still
Daryl
like,
Hogue is still.
well, Daryl's over in Illinois in Riverbend,
Still
but you
though.
have a new superintendent in Central DeWitt. You have a new superintendent in Comanche, new one in Clinton, new one in
Northeast.
Northeast.
I did see Northeast got a new one too.
Yeah.
Alicia. So, I mean, what I love too, and Jenny and I have experienced this through our visits to the districts as well as interviewing the superintendents, they are all collaborating to share services, understanding that each is going through some financial constraints, especially with unfunded mandates like the state put out last year to raise the minimum salary for educators to $50,000. Nobody's opposed to it, but it is something that state dollars did not come in and support the change in salaries.
Yeah.
So you got to look at
Too
that
bad.
too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's difficult, and the only way to get through it and to make it better is to collaborate. So I'm glad Camanche and Clinton now are sharing bus drivers and stuff too.
That's wonderful.
Okay, last question for you, sir. What steps should the district take to ensure all students, regardless of their background, have access to quality learning opportunities?
Well, I would imagine we're taking some steps now, like we're already doing a pretty good job at that. But as far as steps we should take, I think it's a conversation with teachers and employees of the school district, getting feedback, hearing from parents. I mean, it's a public office, so feedback's welcome. I think if people have issues, concerns, questions, that's kind of what we're here for.
Yep.
That's kind of what the position is. So I would say take feedback from others and do the best we can. Like I said, I won't know everything until we're in there. And like I said, I'm not going in with an agenda. It's more of I'm here to help in any way I can type of thing. So, if something comes on the table and we need to go around and discuss with teachers and get feedback from employees, that's what we'll do. Just make sure we're doing the best we can.
No, I would encourage you, if elected, there's several statewide conferences where superintendents and school board members are invited.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to attend one, and I can't even recall why I went. I was invited, and I don't remember why. I wasn't a school board member. I wasn't a
I thought it
superintendent,
was
obviously.
part of the program that you were doing at the time. You were
Yeah.
doing a
You're
program.
researching microphones.
I don't know. Yes, it's
Researching microphones.
Several years ago, but I was blown away because a lot of the keynote speakers there had just some amazing things to say, and not all of them were Iowa based. So looking at the entire nation as an opportunity to copy other success is not frowned upon. It's the greatest form of flattery is to
Best thing you
mimic.
can
That's a
do.
good point.
So,
Right.
I mean, look beyond just the state of Iowa.
Absolutely.
And, I would strongly encourage school board members and superintendents who are already on this to really fight our legislature, particularly regarding the school SSA inequality. So, again, I say, why is a student in Camanche worth less than a student in Pleasant Valley?
Right.
When it comes to state funding. And why is that formula so antiquated that was developed probably in the late 70s, early 80s, or even later than that? And we're still applying it to today's structure. And it's not only inequitable, it's ignorant almost to think that we can continue to function where you have property rich districts where the state's pumping in more money to support students as opposed to districts who are not growing in population, have noticed a reduction in property tax revenue, and have been receiving unfunded mandates. So how do we fix that?
Yeah.
And I've been told by people that are in the know at the state level, it would take probably right around, less than 100 million to rectify the whole thing statewide.
Then
We're talking
why?
3.2 million people in the state of Iowa.
And why then?
So why is this not being
Yeah.
changed? And of course, that's just my opinion. I'm not a subject matter expert. And there could be somebody out there just shaking their head, listening to me right now going, you don't understand. Because I do not understand. I get it. School finance is insane to figure out. You can't just pump up budget A from budget B. You can't just slide money back and forth like a skating rink. Everything has to go in its own certain bucket. But it just seems like there's got to be a better way to do it.
Bigger
right?
picture.
Yeah, and I really appreciate your comment on that, because that's the kind of stuff that fires me up, and I think that I could get in there. Well, it's not a one-man operation or anything, but it's definitely something to look forward to. It's just like you said, it doesn't make sense. And,
No.
We are up against a budget deficit. So,
And this next budget session is going to be hard for you guys because I'm already hearing whispers that due to some financial constraints at the state level, with the $400 million overage and the education savings account and a few other things, that there could be a 0% SSA, meaning no new money to
Nothing.
public schools, coming out of the People's House there in Des Moines. So very interesting. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just saying if no new money's flowing in, yet there's unfunded mandates and there's no growth, where's it coming from? You can only do so many bake sales, right?
Right.
So what's it look like moving forward? And that's where the school board and the superintendent are really gonna have to sit down and get creative and try to figure out how they're going to retain the same level of services they've been providing the students, both in academics and athletics. Understand they're going to have to do more with less. So it's difficult. We're the same boat here at Grow Clinton as a nonprofit. I mean, as the economy shrinks and we move towards, hopefully not, but all signs are kind of pointing towards a recession.
Yep.
Our members are making decisions based on how they're going to maintain their business, their lifestyle, and keep their employees. And when something comes on the chopping block, first thing usually is philanthropic giving. And why Grow Clinton works tirelessly to support economic growth and continue to attract business into our area. We do understand that there could come a time where we're not going to be as financially fat as we are now. And we're going to have to do the same thing, more with less.
Right.
So it's weird. It's a very interesting world that we live in right now. And it's going to require a lot of collaboration, because if you continue just to operate in a silo on your own, good luck. You just won't survive.
And that's why it's such an impressive thing that the Camanche, Clinton, and Northeast, they all are working together.
yeah. And I do want to give a kudos out to our superintendent, because that man wears a lot of hats.
Yeah.
He
Heck
does
yeah,
a
he
very
does.
good
Yeah, he does.
job. I mean, you commented on bus driving. I know he subs in classes. He is a coach for every single sport it seems like I go to. I feel like I'm busy, and then I look at him and he inspires me almost.
Yeah.
But I think we could work very well together on
Yeah.
on stuff like that. He's a smart man, and I think that I'm picking up that he would be on the same page as far as seeking those funds and making sure things are right on that level.
And
Yeah.
Camanche has some great programs too. That of course, athletics, but then they also have the band program, the drama program, the speech and
Exactly.
debate program, and it'd be a shame if things had to
Yeah,
suffer.
and there's
if
a lot of
they-
extracurricular activities
Right.
outside of the sports realm, which we're heavily involved in. But they do a lot of clubs. I know my son did like a robotics after
Yes.
school club or something like that, and it may be not for him, but at least he has the opportunity to get in and try it. And,
Right.
And all my kids are completely different. It seems like some of them like sports and some of them don't. Some of them really get into the technology stuff. But yeah, I mean it's important for growing, enrollment in Camanche, and that is a big thing.
Yeah. All right, sir, as we close this podcast out, first, on behalf of Jenny and I and Grow Clinton, thank you for putting your name on the ballot. I have a tremendous amount of respect. We all do, for anybody that's willing to throw their hat in the ring
Thank you.
and take a chance.
For
Because
sure.
it's easy to sit behind your computer and complain on Facebook but it takes real courage to go out and throw your name on a ballot and be the one
Exactly.
who's willing to put in the sweat equity and make some stuff happen.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So in closing, sir, I'll give you about 60 seconds. November 4th is election day. For those that want to vote early, you can do so at the county admin building, 1900 North 3rd Street. But November 4th is the day for you traditionalists that want to go up and select your candidates moving forward. So Trevor, give us your pitch.
Well, like I said, I'm in this for all the right reasons. You know, I'm in this because I have a family in this community. With 5 kids, more than likely, I'll probably have grandkids in this community.
Yeah, your
Yeah,
chances are pretty
right.
good.
So
Good,
yeah, it's just, and my wife's employed by the school district. I just want to see it succeed. You know, I want to see it get better. I can't think of, you know, any faults with the community, but I feel like I have a very well-rounded background. You know, I was in the military, and I'm a financial advisor representative, and I run a small business, and you know, with the kids being involved and everything, I just feel like I could contribute to the school board. You know, I feel like I'm a good candidate, a good fit for it. You know, I'm not going to be a pushover when it comes to decisions. I'm not going to take decisions lightly. You know, I never have. I do my homework on that kind of stuff, and I don't think there's going to be easy decisions. You know, there might be some, but there's going to be some tough decisions, and you know, living life, you have to make tough decisions. And
Yeah,
I think
for
if
sure.
we can make our school system better for the long run, for the future, that's why I'm running. You know,
Good for
I
you, sir.
appreciate your vote. Absolutely.
What
Yeah,
branch
best
of the
of luck.
military were you in?
I was in Air Force active duty for 4 years.
Uh-oh.
Come on now.
Ah,
You see that pennant sitting right over there, man. United States Air Force.
oh,
Big
you
blue
were
right
Air
here.
Force vet too.
That's
Yeah,
what I was, 12
Yep.
years. Yeah, man.
4 years, best decision I ever made.
Same here. Don't even get me started. I reflect back on my youth, and come graduation out of high school, I had zero direction.
Yeah.
None. Everything I've been able to accomplish from the age of 18 to present day, I attribute 100% to going into the military.
Absolutely.
Because I was a punk. And honestly,
agree.
now that I know, I know a lot of educators and superintendents, so I will take this opportunity on this platform to apologize to all my teachers I've ever had, because especially later in my high school life, I know I issued some gray hairs
Yeah.
to many of them, because that's back when you could just like walk into the classroom, see a substitute, and just pivot on your heels and walk right
Walk
out.
right out. Nope,
You know,
not
nobody
today.
knew where you were going, coming and
Oh,
going. There was no
yeah.
signing out, signing in.
Yep.
And I actually made the mistake one time. I came back from leave, and a good friend of mine, her sister was still in high school, and I went over to her parents' house, and they said, "Oh, we're going to pick up, you know, so and so." And I said, "Oh, I'll go get her." I didn't realize, like, this is after 9/11, right? I didn't realize schools like shut down and you couldn't just bebop your way in. So I'm like walking through the halls. I came in a side door, walking through the halls, and all of a sudden I hear this guy like, screaming, "Sir, sir, who are you?" And I turned around, and luckily it was my old wrestling coach. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and he was like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm here to pick up so and so." And he's like, "Did you check into the office?" I was like, "Since when do you
What
have to
are you
do that?" He's like,
talking
"How
about?
did you even get in?" I'm
Yeah,
like, "There was a
it's-
door open."
I kind of had that conversation. I don't want to run it over time,
Yeah.
but
Do it.
you know, we walked in. I walked into the Camanche Middle School, and you know, the office is right there, and my wife's office is part of the main office. It's right in the main office, but I felt like I couldn't even go to her office right away. I had to kind of check in first, and then I think about the high school that I grew up in. The office was in the middle of the building on the 3rd level, so I think it had like the best view.
Yeah.
They weren't going for safety. You could wander around that building you get lost before you find the office.
Yeah.
Now you got to check in.
Yeah,
You
oh,
gotta-
yeah.
you
My
got to
only-
get buzzed in, and then you got to come to the office.
The whole thing.
My only
Yeah.
downside is I had an administrative professional that worked for the principal who knew my mother.
Uh-oh.
And she didn't mind her own business, and she would tattle on me every time I didn't show up. She'd call my mom, be like, "Oh, I noticed Andrew's not here today," and be like, like,
Thanks.
"Where is he?" And I'm like, my mom be like, "Well, he went to school, he left," and I'm in King of Prussia Mall outside of Philadelphia, and coming home, and there's my mom's van in the driveway, and I'm like, "Ah, crap,
Dang
this isn't gonna go well."
See, I love the
Mind your
80s.
business.
I love the 80s, man. We didn't have any problems like that.
Yeah. Well, back then too, it was like, because you know, I grew up in Pennsylvania, we didn't have open enrollment, so you had to be within the district you lived in, you had to go to that school. And my parents were divorced, and then my parents both moved outside of the district. So I had to use my grandparents' house
Yes.
as my place of residence. And I would just call my grandmother and be like, yeah, I'm not going to school today. I'm sick.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, okay. And she would call and be like, Andrew's not coming in. But I live with my mom outside the district. So
Not working.
they'd be like, because every time that administrative person would hear that my grandmother called me in, she'd
Yeah.
call BS and then call my mom. And I'd be like, just don't you have other things to do? instead
Why
of
are you
getting
paying
me
so
in
much
trouble all the
attention
time?"
to me?
So now we did Life 360. My oldest son got a cell phone this year, and now we have that thing. And I mean, you can tell where everyone's at all the time.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
dude,
being
I would have
there.
been
I get
hosed.
my wife. I mean, it's very detailed. Like,
Yeah.
you're driving, it tells the speed limit. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
constantly hounding my wife, like,
Yeah.
why are you going 70 in a
Yeah.
55 right now?
Yeah, very interesting. No, I would have been screwed with technology back then.
Oh my gosh.
Nobody was hitting me up with my pager hitting 911, call me back.
No, we just weren't
Well, you had
around.
to pay to send a text too.
Yeah,
When they
yeah.
first started. So
I had a pager. I had a-
No, they had to just trust us.
yeah,
Oh,
That
my
was
gosh.
bad news.
yeah.
All right, kids, if you're listening,
Yeah.
do as we say, not as we do. Isn't that how it
Stay
goes?
in school.
Yeah.
Learn
Jenny,
from our mistakes.
that's right.
You're
Jen, you
right.
got a busy rest of your week?
I do. We have lots of podcasts
Yes, we
coming
do.
up. I have some visits coming up. I've got all kinds of things I need to do. Yes.
All right. Well, enjoy your week.
You too.
Trevor, best of luck in the election. Remember,
Appreciate that.
folks, November 4th, go out and cast your vote. Want to do it early, 1900 North 3rd Street, County Admin Building. Just walk right in and then cruise on over to the auditor's office and ask for a ballot. My name, as always, Andy Sokolovich, President and CEO of Grow Clinton. Until we talk again, folks, stay classy. See ya. Thank you for listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on all your socials. Until next time, see ya.